Before I call the next member, who's going to be Ian Lees-Galloway, he's been trying hard, I wish to bring to the House's attention that there was a miscalibration or calculation on the closure motion to clause 2, and the correct number is 76 ayes, 43 noes. It doesn't change the outcome. I seek leave for the record to be amended. If there's no one opposed to that course of action, it will be Ian Lees-Galloway.
Mr. Speaker. Yes, it's good to get those votes tidied up, but where is that 0.4 of a hectare? I wonder, will there be, is there room on 0.4 of a hectare to form Bennett Park? That's what I want to know. Is that where it's gone? Is that where it's gone? It's possible. But it could be a place for passive recreation, it could be, or it could be more of an active recreation spot. We don't know. Coming to Clause 4, the purpose of this bill, which really is the guts of what this bill is all about. The clause states that the bill would vest the land in the Hamilton City Council as a recreation reserve under the Reserves Act 1977 and would repeal the Hamilton City Parana Park Empowering Act 1958, which I happen to have in my hand. And the original act was used back in 1958 to change the use, mainly to change the use of the dwelling house, which had up to that point, had been handed over to the council for use as a convalescent home, a children's convalescent home. But as far back as 1958, of course, that purpose was no longer suitable. But the purpose of the original act was laid out as follows in the preamble. Whereas George Power of Hamilton, farmer deceased, who died on or about the 26th of February 1929, did by his last will, probate whereof was granted to the public trustee, given devise his freehold property being number 3 Hamilton Road and being part allotment 219 of the parish of Kirikiriroa, as the same is more particularly delineated on a plan deposited in the Land Registry Office at Auckland under number S3401 and thereon subdivided into lots 1, 2 and 3, hereinafter called Parana Park, unto the Mayor, Councillors, Burgesses of the Borough of Hamilton, to be used as follows. And I won't go into the exact uses, we've covered those quite well. But that description actually is quite close to the description we saw in the original Clause 3, the interpretation of this bill that we're debating tonight. So the purpose is to repeal the original Hamilton City Parana Park Empowering Act 1958, which describes the piece of land in the terms used in the original interpretation, which was, of course, changed by the Select Committee. It was amended by the Select Committee, probably for very useful reasons, but reasons which haven't really been particularly well clarified here in the House. And in fact, the Department of Internal Affairs report to the Select Committee on the Hamilton City Council Parana Park Land Vesting Bill actually recommended no amendments to Clause 3. I should imagine because they fitted the purpose of this bill so closely, but that is a matter which we've moved on from now. Although unfortunately it hasn't really been canvassed all that well during the debate tonight, and it might be useful actually if the member in charge of this bill, or in fact the chairman of the Select Committee, were able to clarify that. I think it would just tidy a few things up. But of course, the purpose of this act is the first purpose of this act is to repeal that original bill, and then of course to vest the land in the council as a recreation reserve under the Reserves Act 1977. And I do note that the majority of submitters actually disagreed with Clause 4A as it stands in the bill at present. And they recommended that the land should be vested in the council as a historic reserve. Now, it appears again that the Select Committee didn't see that was an appropriate action to take, and the officials' comment on this is that that the clause gives effect to the advertised object of the bill to vest Parana Park in the Hamilton City Council as a recreation reserve under the Reserves Act 1977, and that the proposed amendment by the submitters would be outside of the scope of that advertised object. But that doesn't really describe why it is that was considered an inappropriate course of action. And I think it would be useful to the House, once again, if either the member in charge of the bill or the chair of the Select Committee could just give some explanation to the members. Mr Chair.
Tim McIndoe.
I move that the question be now put.
Phil Twyford.